Good morning and welcome to First Parish in Portland, a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations. Got distracted there for a minute. I am Elaine Paris-Sluer, your minister for a short while longer, interim, and I will be here until Reverend Norman. Congratulations, and this very exciting time. And he will be here August 1st, and I'll be here till then. So we have created a space here this morning, and every week we create a space for you, members and friends, visitors alike, no matter who you are, no matter who you love, no matter what your identity is, what your culture is, or what your past religious traditions are. We hope that we have created a space that feels welcoming to you, whoever you are. If you're joining us online, welcome. And if you're visiting online, we hope you'll find something of meaning in today's service and that you'll connect with our membership coordinator, Lori Hasty, and she is at membership@firstparishinportland.org. For those of you who are here and visiting, please stay for coffee hour after the service. Use a yellow mug, and that lets us know, or don't. When you use a yellow mug, it means that you're letting us know that you would like someone to speak with you and maybe have some questions about the congregation, and we can orient you to our congregation and other things that you may need. There is a history class, or history tour today. Kip will be leading a history tour. For those of you who are thinking about membership and who are newcomers, this is important for you to attend. It's part of your process of belonging. And anyone else who's interested is welcome to attend as well. Meet here in the meeting house 11:30, and the tour will start. Following that tour, there will be a newcomers coffee hour, kind of. It's late, but it will be whenever that tour finishes. Stay in the meeting house and have a conversation with Lori. If you're on live stream, be sure to find your candle now. There'll be some announcements that'll give you time to go find whatever you need to be actively involved with whatever we're doing here. Every Sunday, we acknowledge that the land that this building sits on belonged to the Wabanaki Federation. And all the member tribes of that federation, which covered lots and lots of New England tribes, were relocated, murdered, stolen from. Lots of bad things happened when the colonizers came to this country and tried to rid our nation of the indigenous people. We acknowledge this every week, and yesterday we had an event. We showed bounty here, and we were very privileged to have Ambassador Dana with us and her daughters, and it was a wonderful conversation and acknowledgement of our history, our participation, the founders of our congregation's participation in the genocide, in the land theft, and it was an important moment of connecting the indigenous people, the Wabanaki Alliance that exists now, and us to put some action into this land acknowledgement. We received over $800 from people coming to see the film, and all that money went to the Wabanaki Alliance, which includes the Penobscot, the Passamaquoddy, the Maliseet, and Mi'kmaq tribes now. We were able to talk about our history and make plans for moving forward with a reconciliation and truth-telling that will involve the Wabanaki Alliance as well. So I want to applaud our Wabanaki Ally team. We didn't introduce you yesterday, but if you are here, please stand and accept our appreciation for your hard work. And you may. One thing, Merritt.
First weekend in August is Penobscot Days in Indian Island, and they invited us to come, and we're going to organize a carpool up there and visit them.
Yay, yay. So that's important and what they spoke with us about yesterday is that it's important that land acknowledgements include some action, and also a reminder that the Wabanaki are here today. They are the doctors, the lawyers, the teachers, the students, the all sorts of people in and amongst us. So while we acknowledge that this land was theirs, it's important to acknowledge their resilience and that they are still here. We also have added a labor acknowledgement to this piece, which is to recognize that the economic progress that we see all around us, and this was part of yesterday's conversation as well, it's due to the unpaid labor and the servitude of people of color, and specifically enslaved African labor. So not only was the theft of land from the Native Americans, but also the labor that built the city and created of wealth. So as we continue our truth-telling, we want to acknowledge that unpaid labor as well as we try to reconcile all these historic relationships. I know there's lots of announcements this morning. I'm going to start with Bill. Bill, would you like to make your announcement first? Not because he's more important, just because he's tallest. There's a handheld on the chair there. Or you can use that one that's standing up right behind you. It's on.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Bill Adams, your friendly raffle czar. And welcome today, and such a beautiful Sunday. So this morning, we're going to give you some tips on how to sell your raffle tickets. How many of you last week heard Reverend Norm's Time for All Ages when it was called The Quest? When he was leading the young people through the church and back up the center aisle, he spoke of the abyss of no and how to get through it. You have to listen to the yes voices and let them drown out those no's, and you have to remain positive. Some of you say you don't know anyone you could sell a ticket to. You have no friends, no family, no fellow workers, no people you do business with, no classmates, no Facebook friends, no Instagram friends, no contacts in your email, no restaurants to eat at or stores you trade. We all know these aren't really true, but you're not living off the grid. One of the keys to selling tickets is to get the word out that you actually have some to sell. Emily is going to give you some ideas on how to painlessly spread the word and get you through the abyss of no. Remember, most people do like to gamble. You just have to give them a chance to participate.
Hi there, I'm Emily Brackett. I am going to be a member soon in June.
Start them off right, Bill.
So I have 3 suggestions for selling more tickets. The first 2 are using social media. So if you're on Facebook or Instagram, I recommend that you take a photo of this. You can pick up the postcard out there, just take a photo of it, and then post it on your channel, and just talk about all the great ways that people can use the money. That's what people want to hear about, and I did that last year. I can't believe how many people just, I don't see these people every day, but they're still interested in gambling or supporting my cause. If getting the photo, getting from the postcard to the photo to the online is tricky for you, First Parish will be making posts like this that already have the image there. So just find that and then share it or repost to your own story is the easiest way to do that. And finally, this is a postcard itself, so you could mail this to somebody with a short message.
Thank you very much. And by the way, as of this morning, my first indicator this early in the game is how many tickets I've given out to you, and we've given out over 900, so we're doing great. Keep it going.
Benjamin is going to give us an update on the choir that's going to be with us next Sunday. Be sure you bring your friends and have a wonderful time, and he will tell us more about our hosts and the families.
Announce that we do have enough host families, so congratulations making that happen. Those children are going to have such an amazing experience as well as the host families, and I want to make a special shout out to Brenda, who's not here today, but she really helped organize that this week. There is a performance Mother's Day weekend at 5 p.m. where we need to fill this place so that we can give plenty of donations which will directly benefit the orphans. There's Brenda.
Hey, Brenda.
Everyone give. So again, the donations that are raised during that concert will go directly to the orphans. There is no real admission, so it's just a donation base. They will be performing in the morning, so let's make sure we have lots of people there as well. And they're also going to perform for our friends who have church here in the afternoons. So we are all very, very excited.
And if you are not able to come to the concert, you can leave a contribution for them during the service in the morning next week. So we're going to be talking about Mother's Day, and what a perfect time to have a choir of orphans with us. Lucy, you're next on my list. Are you here? Lily, sorry. This Lily, okay, thank you. Microphone.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lily James. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm also going to be a member soon in June. So gun violence is an issue that feels like it grows worse every day, and it's easy to feel powerless and hopeless about this issue. But the good news is that there are several very important and potentially impactful bills currently active in the Maine State Legislature to address this issue. So, directly after service, Lynn Beasley, Joan Stanton, and I will be hosting a table to write emails or letters to your representatives asking them to support these bills. We hope you'll just take this quick and very deeply meaningful action with us and learn about more ways to get involved in this effort. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Betsy. You can use the handheld there in the chair. Eric will put it on when you pick it up.
Hi, I'm Betsy Garnett. I'm the librarian, and I wanted just to let you know to look out for an e-blast that's coming later this week that will have the Zoom link and the backup materials for the discussions for the Common Read this year, Mistakes and Miracles. That will be coming through, and I've been told that you don't have to have read it to participate, that the way it's set up, it looks like with the background material, you would be fine to engage in the discussion, even if you haven't gotten through the whole book. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's an important for us as we're considering the eighth principle and adopting the eighth principle. That book and that conversation will be really helpful for informing you and making that decision. Thanks. Now, take a deep breath. Allow your bodies and spirits to be fully present. Reflect on whatever inspired you to be here and whatever it is you're here to either give or to receive. And Benjamin is going to lead us in our prelude. It's a song that might be familiar to you. If you are inspired, please join in.
Let you know when to join. I'll make it very, very obvious. Feel free to stand up if you want to, or feel free to sit down. Last night I had the strangest dream I ever had before. I dreamed the world had all agreed to put an end to war. Well, I dreamed I saw a mighty room. It was filled with women and men. And the papers, they were signed and said they'd never fight again. And when the papers were all signed and 1,000,000 copies made, they all joined hands and bowed their heads, and 1,000,000,000 were prayed. And the people in the streets below were dancing round and round. and the swords and the guns and the uniforms, they were scattered all over the ground. Everybody, last night I had the strangest dream I ever had before. I dreamed that all the world agreed to put an end to war. I dreamed I saw a mighty room is filled with women and men, and the papers, they were signed and said we'd never fight again. Last night I had the strangest dream I ever dreamed before. I dreamed the world had all agreed to put an end to war.
In honor of Pete Seeger. Our opening words are the wisdom of Winnie the Pooh and Piglet. Let's find a way today that can take us to tomorrow. We'll follow that way away like flowing water. Let's leave behind all the things that do not matter, and we'll turn our lives to an important new chapter. Let's take the time to find what real life has to offer, and maybe then we'll find again what we have long forgotten, like a friend, true till the end, that will help us onward. The sun is high, the road is wide, and it starts where we are standing. No one knows how far it will go. And for the road is really never ending. It goes away beyond what we have thought of. It flows away like flowing water, inviting us to step in. I invite you to rise in body or spirit, and we are going to sing Gonna Lay Down My Sword and Shield. It's number 162 in your hymnals, the gray ones.
Down
going to invite you into lighting our chalice. The unison words are printed in your order of service, and Kip is our chalice lighter this morning. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Looking for wee ones, young or young at heart, to join me for a discussion on right and wrong. Yes and no, and maybes. Those songs that we were singing are pretty famous songs, and they're about songs that help people think about what they believe in. And I was wondering, this is the first Sunday of the month, and every time we have a first Sunday, we introduce a theme, what we're going to talk about all month. So this month, we're talking about what do we believe? Because some people think that Unitarian Universalists don't believe anything, which is not true. What we believe is what we learn to feel in our heart. And what we try to do with you every Sunday, with Cheryl and Isabel and some of the other people that help you upstairs, is we try to help you think about what's right and what's wrong. We try to help you learn what it is you believe in. How many of you been to see God, This Is Margaret? Has anybody been to see that movie? Don't miss it. It's a very famous book, and it's a movie, and I took my granddaughter, and we had great discussions about what her religion is. Now, of course, she doesn't have one yet either, because her mother was raised a preacher's kid, and preacher's kids intentionally do not believe what their mother, the minister, says. So that's really important. But they're all still learning. And that's the important thing about showing up here every week, is we want you to show up and think about what you believe. Do you believe it's okay to hit your siblings? Do you think it's okay to steal cookies out of the cookie jar? Do you think it's okay to write on the walls? Do you think it's okay to, what are some other things? I'm sure you have something to tell me. Yes? Don't lose your ball. There you go. Yes? And so it's hard sometimes to know, and when your friends ask you to do things, and as you get older, that I know one, is it okay to get into strangers' cars? No. See, everybody knew that one. But some of the other ones are more confusing, and sometimes you don't always know what's right and wrong. But I am with you on that one. I am with you. Ah, okay. Oh, it was okay because it was easy? Oh, we're going to have a conversation about that one. How many of us think that something's okay because it's easy? I'm not sure, but we're going to talk about that. So that's why we're all here. So everybody that's out here is still learning a lot about what is right and wrong. And Cheryl is going to talk to you about what's right and wrong. And the most important thing for us, and the whole reason we're having this conversation this month, is that it's really, really important to know what you believe and then to act on the things that you believe in. Because the hardest thing in life is having to do things that aren't what you believe. And that's what we really want to help you with. Because to be happy, you have to do the things that you believe in. I think that's enough for today. So thank you for having patience. Thank you for sharing your ball and your stories. And we will let you go upstairs now. We're going to sing you out.
morning. On Friday, April 6, 1917, President Woodrow Wilson and the U.S. Congress declared war on Germany, and the United States entered World War I. Within less than a year, or a little over a year, 116,000 American soldiers died in Europe. 2 days after that declaration of war was Easter Sunday, and our 32-year-old minister, Charles Joy, delivered these words. We have his exact words. He stood on the same exact spot where I'm standing right now, 106 years ago. The time will come when historians will pass judgment upon the war which America has declared. But in the meantime, it is for all whose spiritual insight has not been distorted to stand firmly by the right which they can see. And so I am bound by the loyalty which I have pledged to God to say to you with deep sorrow that in this crisis I believe America is wrong. I believe that the war we wage is an unrighteous war, and never by act or word can I aid my country in what I believe to be her wrongdoing. I do not mean to say that there is no technical justification for this war with the German government. We have technical justification for war with several nations today. I simply mean to say that America seems to have deserted her highest duty in order to fulfill a lower duty. What was our higher mission? Our mission was to show the path of peace, to set forth before the world a vision of what true democracy might become. Our mission was to preach the brotherhood of man, to show how the different races of the world might draw together in bonds of indissoluble union as they have amalgamated in our land of promise. In the present emergency, our mission was to be a mediator between the warring nations, to heal the wounds of hatred with a soothing balm of love, to interpret to each opposing group of peoples the ideals and hopes of the other, to bring relief to Belgium and to Poland and to Armenia, stricken down by the ruthless hand of war. Today, the Belgian children must starve because we have rights to be defended. Today, the sick and the hungry and the homeless in Armenia may lift no eyes of hope to America, for we ourselves are too busy killing. We were the people chosen by God to stand aside from this murderous strife and to stretch out the helping hand of love. We have forfeited our privilege because in the course of this mad struggle, we ourselves have been injured. Has it never occurred to us that in this emergency, our duty may be supreme over our right? What excuse shall we give to God for these stricken people who die in Europe because when our rights were infringed, we have deserted a task which no other could perform? It may be that we shall have long months of warfare, and you will wish to know my attitude as I preach to you. Let me say at once that if I remain your minister, no war shall here be recognized except the war on war. No hatred should be permitted except the hatred of hate. As God is no respecter of persons, so here in his temple there shall be no respect of nations. From this pulpit, prayers shall ascend for Germany and America alike. There shall be no prayer that victory may crown the arms of America. I shall pray only that love may reach us to lay down our arms together. There is no place for the inculcation of prejudice and antipathy. Here the one teaching shall be, thou shalt love thine enemies and do them good. If you are willing that I should thus serve you, I am ready to make this place a temple of love in the world of hate, a place of peace in the world of war, a sanctuary of truth in the world of hypocrisy, a refuge for the humble in the world of vanity, a dwelling place for God in the world where he is denied. If, on the other hand, you do not wish to be represented today by one who holds my views about this war, then my resignation is at your disposal. This is the truth and the tragedy of the Great World War. Each nation believes itself fighting for its life, for its liberty. What all need to do is to stop fighting and learn to understand each other, to find the common loyalties, the common ideals. It should have been the mission of America to restore the old fellowship of Europe, or better, to create a new comradeship devoid of hatred and suspicion. Perhaps even now, in some way unforeseen, that mission may still be ours. God grant that he may lead us to love and righteousness and peace. Thank you.
Reverend Charles Joy made it very clear what he believes. Spoke it from this space. So the first Sunday every month, I invite you to reflect in your pews on what we're going to be thinking about and speaking about all month. And that is, what do you believe this month? Not what you believe this month, but we're going to be talking this month about what you believe. So I want you to sit, take a deep breath with me, and reflect on your faith and what you believe. Do you believe that war is ever justified? Do you believe in feeding the hungry? Do you believe in the sovereignty of indigenous peoples? Do you believe in the justice of a fair economy? Do you believe in God or Goddess? Do you know here what you believe? Once we know here what it is we believe, our well-being and our happiness depend on being faithful. Being faithful so that the actions we take in our life are in harmony with and consistent with what we believe. So that's the second piece of reflection for today and all of this month. What is it you believe? And are you being faithful? It is faith that breaks our silence in the presence of the world's tragedies. It is faith that inspires hope. And it is hope that inspires action. So may it be. Amen. And blessed be. I invite you to stay seated and we'll join together in hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. So, Kip, what happened after that Easter Sunday in 1917?
From Charles Joy's sermon, he said, if you don't agree with my position on the war, then you have my resignation. They took it. They fired him. The night after his sermon was delivered, the word had gotten around that he had delivered an anti-war sermon. He was burned in effigy on Congress Street. There was a placard around his neck saying, "Traitorous Reverend Joy, get out of town." The leadership of the church by Wednesday had met and decided to let him go. He never preached another sermon here. Meanwhile, in Europe, as I mentioned earlier, 116,000 American soldiers died. The total death toll from World War I was estimated to be 20 million people.
Wow. So what did Charles Joy do after he left? Did he leave Portland and when he left First Parish?
He did. He still had maintained a connection here. Apparently, he's actually buried in Gray, Maine, so he kept a home here in the area. But he, as far as I can tell, never returned to work in Maine. He went to serve various different denominations in Massachusetts as a Unitarian minister. And pretty soon his leadership was recognized. He became the vice president of the American Unitarian Association. He ran for president of the American Unitarian Association, and it was a competitive election, and he actually didn't want to compete against his friend, and so he left the race. And then in 1940, he was sent by the American Unitarian Association and the newly formed Unitarian Service Committee to Europe. And you may have heard of the rescue mission, which the Unitarians were involved in rescuing Jews and other people from the Nazis. He was very involved with that. He was the man in Lisbon who got people on the boat to America. Among the people that Charles Joy rescued were the famous artist Marc Chagall, Max Ernst, many other artists and intellectuals who were rescued, as well as regular people who were in danger of being murdered by the Nazis. So he did that, and then during that time, he became the CEO, or the president of the American Unitarian Service Committee. And then after he finished that service, returning to the U.S., he was investigated by the House Un-American Activities Committee, because apparently some of the people that he had worked with to rescue the Jews from the Nazis were members of the Communist Party. And unfortunately, the leadership of the Unitarians caved and fired him from that job. So he only served as president of the American Unitarian Service Committee for 2 years. So he had the distinction of being fired twice by Unitarians for his beliefs.
So we're talking about what we believe and are we being faithful this month. What do you think we can learn from Charles Joy's life?
Well, I think Charles Joy lived to be 92 years of age. And all his life, I think he represented a model for fight for international peace and understanding and communication. Later in his life, he actually became an author and published dozens of books, mostly for young people, about different cultures and places he had been to. So he was really, I think, for me, a role model of consistency of belief and fighting for right, especially for international peace and understanding. When I was in graduate school, I had a professor who told me once, a measure of your success, whether you've been true to your beliefs, is the number of times you've been fired from a job. And I think he qualifies for having consistency of belief, having been fired twice.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anything else you think that's important for us to know about Reverend Joy?
Well, I reflect a little bit upon, the opportunity we lost here, but maybe we were destined to play the heavy in the drama of his life, our congregation, but it was so swift when he was fired. He was gone within days after preaching that sermon, and there was no other reason that he was fired. So, but I reflected on that.
And you did find a plaque.
There is a plaque with his name on it. He's up in the front with the other ministers. Initially, I thought there wasn't any recognition, but he only merits one sentence in our official history.
We have a historian here who's sharing something. What are you going to add?
This is a vessel for candle lighting. This is a vessel for candle lighting dedicated to Dr. Joy that was commissioned and donated by Stephen Schick, a former interim minister here. And it says, Reverend Dr. Charles Ryan Joy, his courage helped establish the Unitarian Service Committee and, and inspired the creation of the flaming chalice symbol of our faith. His ministry served this church 1910 to 1917.
Wow.
Actually, I'm glad you mentioned the flaming chalice, because I forgot
goodness
to.
that you knew that was here.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Thank you so much, Shannon.
I'm glad you mentioned the flaming chalice, because that was a story I forgot. During his time with the Unitarian Service Committee, during his time based in Lisbon on the rescue mission, he decided that the Unitarian Service Committee needed a symbol. And he went to a refugee who was an artist to design that symbol. And that symbol today is our flaming chalice. I have actually what he wrote at that time. It's very humble. It said, this is what he wrote to the leadership in Boston when he was thinking about this. I happen now to have an artist working for me. Recently, I asked him to work on his spare time on a symbol for our committee, which could be placed on a seal and used in our documents. When a document may keep a man out of jail, give him standing with governments and police, it's important that it look important. So Hans Deutsch went to work to design something. I have made it up into a seal, not because I have any idea of forcing this upon the committee without consulting them, but because these things cost very little here, and at least it will serve as a temporary expedient for us to use in our papers until we get something better, assuming that the committee does not like this. Personally, I like it very much. And that's our symbol now, the flaming chalice.
So our lighting our chalice every week, along with all the other Unitarian Universalists around the world, comes directly from a minister who served you and was fired. Fascinating.
Yes.
Yeah. It matters what you believe. And I think you have some closing words from him.
Yes. Later in his life, as I said, he lived to be 92, he wrote these words. I have served overseas in Europe and Korea during the 3 wars that have punctuated my life story, but I have found all these years to be a rather exciting pilgrimage, and never more so than now. I have wandered about the world in more than 100 different countries, and everywhere I have found friendly people with whom it has been good to associate. I am now trying to make those many peoples better known in America and to promote in some small way a world understanding on which alone enduring peace may be built. Traveling, speaking, writing, these are the 3 foci around which my life now turns. I could not ask for any activities more interesting, more rewarding. I am not much concerned with the past, though I know the future has its roots there. I am eager to see the burgeoning and the fruitage of the years that are to be.
Thank you so much, Kip. I invite you to rise in body or spirit, and we are going to sing hymn number 159, This Is My Song. And now it is time to receive your offerings. Your gifts, not only of money, of time, treasure, and talent, are what make this congregation a vital and important progressive voice in the city of Portland and in the state of Maine. The first Sunday of every month, 50% of all the undesignated funds that are offered in the offering go to my discretionary fund, The discretionary fund is used to house people, to feed people, to fix people's cars, to fix people's teeth, to get them from one place to another, and they serve both members of our congregation and residents of Portland. So please be generous. And one of the things I will let you know, some of you will have more information, but some of you might have met Edwin and Lady, who are two guests that are staying upstairs in one of our classrooms. They were housed by Carl Dillard and his wife Ulika for just over a week because they arrived at our door on the Friday before candidating week. And we have initiated a unhoused team officially. The board voted on Thursday to do this, and Edwin and Lady are part of a pilot program. We're going to see how we can do this, get them housed, keep them safe until we can get them housed, and create a program where we might be able to house more unhoused people, 1, 2, 3, for a short amount of time while they transition into permanent housing. So they are a sweet young couple. They only speak Spanish. And if you would like to meet them, they'll be around the building, in and out during the week. And we've created other space for the kids so that we have room for them as well. So please be generous for the minister's discretionary fund. Thank you, Jonathan. If you would like to be part of that pilot team that is going to be looking at how First Parish can support the unhoused, either immigrants, asylum seekers, or residents who are unhoused in the city, you can send me an email, minister@firstparishinportland.org, and let me know, and we'll be having a meeting to organize that team. So during the summer of 1787, the long debate about the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia was just dragging on. It had been in session since around May of that year, And Alexander Hamilton had given up. He left Philadelphia in disgust and returned to New York City. His friend and the chairman of the convention, George Washington, kept writing to him every day, trying to get him to come back. In one of his notes, he said this to Hamilton: "I almost," underlined, "despair of seeing favorable issue to these proceedings, and do therefore repent having any agency in this business." And he, like I said, underlined that almost. "I am sorry you went away. I wish you would come back. The crisis is equally important and alarming, and no opposition under such circumstances should discourage the exertion of signatures until they are fixed." It was A. Powell Davies that wrote this in Washington, D.C. at All Souls after he read that. Thus it was that Washington, seeing no rational hope that the convention would compose its disagreements and heartily wishing that he had never had anything to do with it, came close to despair. But as well as reason, which he never forsook, he relied upon faith, a system of beliefs, of the expectation of supernatural deliverance, no, but a faith too deep for description, a faith that would not let him despair, although he almost despaired. A faith, a belief that required of him all possible exertions in the hope that the Constitution of the United States of America would at last be written and signatures affixed. It was not faith in a supernatural being. His faith was in life's essence, in its hidden meanings, in its moral claims, in the rightness of inner spiritual guidance that George Washington and other great lives, Charles Joy, have lived their lives. There are no problems larger than our ability to solve them. There are no burdens greater than our strength. We shape, by every moment of our lives, the great decisions. Then let us venture still, with reason as our lamp to guide us, lit with the light of faith. That are the words of a UU minister. Those are the basis of our faith and the relevance of our faith. I personally need a relevant faith to inform my presence in the world, to have my thoughts and actions informed by something greater than self. And I need the companionship of others to put my faith into action. May we always remember this Sunday and every Sunday, today and every day, that we are what create relevance in our faith by knowing what we believe and remaining faithful. May it be so. Kip, would you be our chalice extinguisher, please? And may we hear these words in our hearts and remember Charles Joy as we extinguish this chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. May it be so.